Did this election highlight the issues important to you?
It did. One thing that's really on my mind is clean energy. I'm a firm believer that if we don't fix the environment soon, we're going to go backwards. So I'm all for climate change and stuff. I wish that Trudeau didn't really throw an election during the pandemic. But at the end of the day, I feel like him and the Conservatives and NDPs are going to do a good job. So for me, climate change is very important.
Not as much. I think like housing and debt and like especially in Battery right now, we see a lot of homelessness and not enough support for that. There's a lot of things. I think it was overly focused on vaccines and whatnot when there's other issues that need to be brought into the conversation.
No, not really. I found that the election, because it was done during the pandemic, didn't really get the outreach that an election normally would. I would normally be more engaged. And I think quite a lot of the topics that were discussed had little to do with what was important to me at the time.
It's almost as though they tried to, but from what I gathered, everyone had very similar answers from very different parties. So I found it very interesting.
Not well enough. I think there were several issues that they glossed over. I'm quite frankly a little disappointed in the way our leaders of all parties spent most of their time performing rather than actually looking at what the issues are and addressing them in some concrete fashion. So I thought of it more of a day of question period in Parliament than I did really about what was going on.
No.
Some?
It should not have been called because of the pandemic, and he still had 18 months to go, so he should have waited.
Yeah. Issues-wise, well, housing, very important. The debt. He's spending too much money. He's making it worse for us. Maybe not for us, but for our kids and our grandkids.
Not really. I would say the environment is very important. I think that was kind of left behind to a certain extent. So no, I mean, these elections come down to people basically promising, how much money can we throw out there and make you happy or whatever. And that's what it seemed to be a contest. That's what the contest seemed to be about. Less about issues, I found. Period.
I would say that this election definitely tackled, climate change, Indigenous issues, but I think the sentiment that a lot of Canadians are feeling, that it was kind of expensive and did nothing, basically the most expensive cabinet shuffle of all time. So I don't think really, to answer your question, that we went further enough in discussing the issues. I think a lot of times during the debates, questions were dodged, answers were dodged.
It's hard to form a direct opinion where I would act. That's why I really don't vote, right? Because at the end of the day, half of them say stuff that doesn't get done anyway, so they're not held accountable, right?
I noticed a lot of the issues were actually that were brought, especially in the debates by the oppositions. They were just brushed off, and it was more focused on the little bits that were done over the last 4 years and just defending himself instead of actually coming up with real results as to what was done because of the 4-year term. So no, I was actually quite disappointed.
Yes and no.
That depends. I think some of the issues that are important to me weren't necessarily addressed, but not that they didn't address any issues.
It did, but nothing really changed. I'm not confident that something will change in the near future unless we make some big changes. I don't know.
Well, initially, this election highlighted the issues that were important to me, but as time went on, it seemed like everybody forgot about the real issues and were mudslinging, and the issues kind of got forgotten.
So many of them were, and I don't think any of them are going to be addressed properly by any one party. I think everybody's trying their hardest, and I don't think that anybody's going to really achieve anything in the current situation, which is really sad.
No, I don't think so. Not what I would have liked to seen highlighted. So no, this election was a waste of time, money, and effort on, Trudeau did the worst thing possible by calling this election as far as I'm concerned.
I think some of the platforms did, but I'm not happy with the results, to be honest.
Some of them, I think I found this election, like most people, it was just a kind of a non-event. Nothing changed. Basically, we're back where we started. You know, everybody's complaining about the $600 million. So it was kind of a futile effort on behalf of the Liberals. So, but it is what it is. We just carry on and move on and see what happens, I guess.